Hello somebodies, welcome to the channel. I am your host, Mr. Mafuchi. On today's show, something we can all relate to, gaming. But these youngsters want nothing to do with the past glory of the consoles that came before them. So without further ado, here are the top reasons younger generations don't like retro gaming. We start off with the graphics. I remember watching something on YouTube where teens were playing Pong for the first time, and they were asked, "What do you think of the graphics?" Which they replied, "What graphics?" Ah yes, the consoles of yesteryear. When the NES, Nintendo for you youngins, dominated the 80s with 8-bit graphics, which today's consoles render 64 graphics, which actually seems kinda low in today's improved technology. And when the 90s rolled around, yes, we had the 16-bit wars between Sega and SNES. Super Nintendo youngsters, catch up, will ya? And the games kicked ass. And yet, here came rolling around that PlayStation 1, which killed all the competition with its big 32 bits. On a quick aside, Nintendo, way to go in passing on the PlayStation. You could have eliminated them once and for all, but no. You had to pass on Sony and go on Philips with your CDI. How'd that go for you, Nintendo? But these small fries be like, "Oh, what kind of sprite is that? It's too blurry. Which one am I? That hurts my eyes." Look, why don't you Utes go back to your room and fondle that participation trophy you got for running around and collecting points so you can modify your weak sauce avatar. Now let's get to online gaming. Do you know what online gaming was back in those times? You call your friends up, you tell them to come over and play, and you play with whoever showed up. You young pups call it couch gaming. Gaming nowadays need only require a Wi-Fi connection. Not only me hanging here somebodies, as parents, I can't tell you the last time, or even the first time, my son's friends came over to play. It's a prehistoric concept. But here's what you little gamers miss out on. Couch gaming on the weekend usually meant pizza night. Not to mention possible sleepover parameters. And if your friend's mom was a MILF, need I say more? Now, let's get into the nostalgia factor. Fact of the matter is, these games are nostalgic to us. So yes, we may try to unfairly push these games onto the younger generation. But for good reason! Games like Super Mario Bros. 3, Streets of Rage 2, Crash Bandicoot, Donkey Kong Country, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Super Mario Kart, Metal Gear Solid 2, Mega Man 2, Gunstar Heroes, Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Castlevania, Super Mario World, Spyro the Dragon. All these games age very well, and quite frankly, serve as a rite of passage today. So, we can't talk gaming without having controllers. And back then, the controllers were very simple. With today's consoles, the controller may have up to 11 buttons and 2 joysticks. Well, with the first Nintendo, you had 2 buttons and 1 D-pad. And for the longest time, that's all you needed. Sega Genesis gave you 3 buttons, and there was so much fun to be had, whether it was 2 or 3 buttons. But when the Super Nintendo came out, they gave you 6 buttons. Ooh. And still only 1 D-pad. Now, less buttons didn't mean less fun. It meant you had to get creative. Get this. Sometimes, you had to push 2 buttons at the same time. And yes, when the PlayStation 1 came out, they gave you 2 more buttons, so now we're talking about 8 buttons, but still 1 D-pad. Quite frankly, it was glorious. Now, getting into storytelling, nowadays, a storyline is fed into you like a movie. I wouldn't be surprised if one console's storyline budget is the equivalent to all the retro consoles' game library combined value. In the retro world, we were only given 2 pieces of information. This happened, let's go. Most games didn't provide us any information. You had to read the game box description to try to figure out what the game was about, and nothing else. So less story, more gameplay. Youngins, don't knock us for not wanting to know the entire story when we play with you. Just tell us where the enemies are and where to find the power-ups. We are conditioned to get up and go. So, You want to know the top reason you don't want none of these games, you young urchins? The games are hard as balls. If you don't like today's Cuphead game, then you don't belong here. Unforgivable games like Contra, Contra 3, and Contra Hard Corps. The US had to tone down the difficulty in Hard Corps from Japan's version. Sonic the Hedgehog for not collecting all the Chaos Emeralds. Oddworld, Abe's Odyssey, Ninja Gaiden, Battletoads and that damn Turbo Tunnel. Shinobi, Heart of Darkness, Diddy Kong's Quest, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Why? Crash Bandicoot, Zombies Ate My Neighbors, Driver, The Legend of Zelda. You talk about a time suck game. Trying to discover all the hidden paths? Super Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, Musha, Earthworm Jim 2, Super Mario Bros. 2, the Japanese version, Ghouls and Ghosts. You thought beating the game was hard. The true ending? You have to beat it twice. These games would beat you into submission over and over and over again. And for the ones that rented the game back then, we had no choice but to complete it before returning it back to the video store. Us retro gamers had the gumption to keep getting up, battle past our rage, and finally beat the damn game. And once more, our games had a conclusive ending. Games today are specifically made to grind. No end in sight. You ain't ready for expert level. So, with that said, we close the book on this case. Join me next time when we bring about a new topic. And since you made it this far, how about a like, a subscribe, or both? It's so simple. And also, if you have a topic you'd like for me to bring up, hey, put it in the comments. And of course, let me know which games stand the test of time in your opinion. See you next time, somebodies.